Today we're going to look at proportions. Most of y'all have probably seen and dealt with proportions till now, so this probably will be a nice review, but it's a great way to make sure that you feel really comfortable with this before a quiz or a test. So let's just remember that you can show two ratios are equivalent with an equation, and that is what is called a proportion. So a proportion is made up of two equivalent ratios. When the two ratios form the proportion, the cross products are equal to one another, meaning that the two numbers that are diagonal from each other are equivalent. You can solve a proportion by using cross products to find that missing term. So you guys can take a look at examples A and example B, and they're showing you how cross products work. So in example A, here I have my cross products, my proportion, and what they're saying here is that 1 and 5 are equivalent, or I'm sorry, 2 and 5 are equivalent, and 1 and 10 are equivalent. Well, when you actually do that, 1 times 10, you get 10, and 2 times 5, you get 10. So yes, they are equivalent. And then part B is actually showing you how you would solve for an unknown. So again, the products multiplied together equal one another. So we can say that 16 times u equals 64 times 3. So 16 times u, another way of writing that would be 16u, and 64 times 3, that equals 192. Then to solve for u, we would divide each side by 16, and 192 divided by 16 is 12. So some of these is to actually just dive right in and do some examples. Let me get my cross product set up. So if I multiply 10 times n, which would be 10n, that should equal 16 times 5. So let's go ahead and multiply 16 times 5. And if you need to go out to the side, that's fine. That's it should be 80. And then we would divide by 10 to get n alone. And 80 divided by 10 would be 8. So n equals 8. Let's try over here. Here we're going to multiply j times 4, so 4j, and 1 times 2. So I'm going to just simplify that. Then we would divide each side by 4. So j equals 1/2. And yes, you can leave it just like that. And here, we've got 6 times p equals 8 times 3. So 6p equals 24. Divide each side by 6. So p equals 4. And that's how cross products work. Let's do some word problems here. It says in this first one that a survey at Lincoln Middle School found that 6 out of every 10 students prefers math class to science class. If there are 400 students at school, how many of them would you expect to prefer math class to science class? So let's set up our proportion. So 6 out of every 10, so 6 out of 10 prefer math class. So if there's 400 students, so let's think, does the 400 go on top or on bottom? That's right, it goes on bottom because the bottom is the total. And we're going to try to find this out. So now that our proportion is set, we can do our cross products. So we would do 10 times x equals 6 times 400. So 10x equals 2400. Divide each side by 10. So x would equal 250 students. Perfect. All right, and the last one. A factory can produce 1,500 cans of juice in 3 hours. How many cans of juice can they produce in 8 hours? So they get 1,500 cans of juice in 3 hours. We want to know how much they would produce in 8 hours, so we're going to be looking for that number. So our cross products, we would do 3 times x equals 1,500 times 8. Let's see, that would be, I'm going to add my zeros, that would be 40, that would be 12,000. Divide each side by 3, so x should equal 4,000 cans, which would be choice B. So proportions really are not difficult. You're basically doing the same thing over and over again. You multiply across and divide to get that variable by itself. Great luck.